Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Movie Bucket here on Screen Stealers. So if you got your popcorn, your soft drink, maybe even a soft pretzel, perhaps a bottle of bougie rich people champagne, even. And it's time to talk about another movie. Uh, I'm Brooke, and making a podcast is hard. Okay, you have to get the Google Calendar set up, and you have to coordinate your guests, and it's just a really hard thing to do. Okay, and I've been working on it for a long time.
Valid as fuck.
She's so real for that.
So real.
She's real for that, but at the same time, is she?
Diva.
It's not that hard.
Not that hard.
We know. We should know.
No.
Yes.
And hello, I am River, and oh, fuck off and die. Because my family is what?
Oh my god. And hola, I am Eduardo, and your parents are upper middle class.
Derogatory.
Derogatory.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. They teach at a university.
It's public.
I love that upper middle class is used as a slur in this movie. Can I just say that?
As it should be. As it
Yes.
should be.
No, but so.
As someone from an upper middle class family, yes, correct.
Absolutely.
As it should.
Oh, it's so dumb. To wrap us up here this month for our Female Directors Month this May, we are talking about the 2022 dark comedy horror social commentary film Bodies. Starring, including, but not limited to, I have a long list of people. Give me 1 second. I just got off the tab for some reason because I'm dumb. So, including but not limited to Amandla Stenberg, Maria Bakalova, Chase Sui possibly.
Right.
Wonders, Rachel Sennott, Lee Pace, Pete Davidson, Myha'la. How do you pronounce Jordan's actress's name? I feel bad. I don't want to butcher that.
I've always said it, Myha'la.
Jordan's actress's name, I don't want to butcher.
Yes.
I am so sorry. I am trying my best.
I'm so sorry.
And Connor O'Malley. So a pretty small cast for a film. But you know what? It doesn't need to be a big cast to have a big impact. There's a lot of movies that have small casts.
Who's the director?
Oh, of course. Directed by Halina Reijn. Written by Sarah DeLapp from a story by Christopher Pinion. So a lot of women.
I didn't remember the director's name, but I was looking at Letterboxd. I just clicked the name. I just didn't remember her name, and because I wanted to see what other movies she did, and not many. I think she has like 5 or 6.
She has 4 movies, and one of them is going to be released soon. So she only has 3 movies that have been released up until the day that we're filming. So.
Yeah. That's Halina Reijn.
Very, very good. She did a great job.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're coming off of, a widespread selection of films this month. But like we've mentioned a few times, in order to get another spooky movie covered on the podcast, Eduardo and I made a bargain, okay? River would get to talk about another Brazilian movie this month, and Eduardo and I would make River watch another horror movie. And, to be fair, we were not nearly as mean as we really could have been in terms of horror. Because honestly, This isn't really that much of a horror film, really. It's more of a dark comedy. There are like horror elements, I suppose. But Eduardo, I want to ask you, why did you want to cover this? And then I want to see if we're still on the same page.
Well, specifically because we're also sharing it with River. I saw a lot of potential with River liking this movie specifically because there's a lot of social commentary about rich people and making fun of those rich people. And, it reminds me also someone, who was it? in the Dead Meat podcast, they brought up the fact that this also kind of makes fun of like the COVID parties that existed in 2020, and I saw a lot of potential here for River to like this movie, and also it's just a really fun movie to watch. I've shown this movie to other people that are not big fans of horror, and they have also like been big fans of it just as I am. So I saw a lot of potential with it, especially with River watching this. So that's one of the many reasons why I wanted to talk about it. Also, I just love this movie.
Spoiler alert, you nailed it. So congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations. And thank you.
Well, for me,
it was a great bargain for me. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. For me, it was kind of one of those things of we haven't done a ton of horror on the podcast, especially recently. Other than Saw, which we did do last month. Before that, we had not done a horror film, and I want to be 100% clear here. We had not done an actual horror film since we did The Craft ages ago, which was actually the first thing we ever filmed, period, doing this podcast. That episode is on our Patreon from a different channel that we were working with at the time for this podcast. So when we're talking about...
it's in the archives.
It's in the archives. Might come out at some point, hint, hint. But
something might happen with that.
Something witchy this way comes. But we haven't done a ton of horror on the podcast. Now, what are the reasons for that? Well, if you look at our categories, right? Oscar nominees doesn't happen too much for horror in general. We talked about it before. Only one horror movie has ever won Best Picture at the Oscars, and even then, it's more of a thriller. We're talking about Silence of the Lambs, of course. And then when we're talking about acting nominations, you get a couple here and there, but for the most part, it's not a normal thing to see. Black History Month, Lana made all of those choices, and that's not really Lana's bag either. So there was nothing coming out of there.
You could argue, I know that Rosewood is not technically horror, but that's you could argue that would be the closest, because it's based on real life.
It's not horror,
it's real life horror. It's just reality.
It's not horror, but it's horrific.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. And then March Madness. I think there were only 2 or 3 horror movies in the brackets total. River can guarantee that one. I think was it just Saw?
I think it was Saw and then Us.
Oh, and Us, yeah.
Us.
Those were the only 2, and neither one of them won the bracket. So by the time we get to my month, I didn't want to overload us on horror, so I gave us Saw. But we just haven't really had a ton of opportunity to talk about horror. So I thought it had been too long. I think we need to cover a little bit more, and I think this was the perfect opportunity to talk about a movie that's certainly interesting. And spoiler alerts before we even get deep into this, we're not going to have another horror movie until October. So we had to have one more before a 4-month layoff at this point. We got to get one more in. So I want to just go ahead and say, this movie's fun. I had a good time watching it. And it was just a good time. So where are you guys at with it?
I mean, first I wanted to ask, because I know Eduardo had seen it, and I had not. Had you seen it, Brooke?
I have, like River just mentioned. First watch for River, and then a rewatch for Eduardo and I. I watched this, I think, right after it came out, right when it first got to streaming is when I watched it, because everybody and their mom was talking about it, and this was right when Pete Davidson was peaking at popularity, so everybody was really talking about it. No shade to Pete Davidson, but that was a big part of why this movie did well, was because out of the entire cast at the time, most of this cast weren't huge names. The biggest name on this cast is still Pete Davidson, and then Amandla Stenberg had done the Hunger Games, so she had a name. But for the most part, the rest of this cast was kind of lesser known people. And then Pete Davidson's in this movie, and people are suddenly watching it. And then of course Lee Pace would become a bigger name pretty quickly after
Yeah.
this. He did Marvel, so like the names got bigger. But
Is
yeah.
that the guy that played Greg?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
the man with the big lungs.
I have big lungs. I told you guys. I have big
big
lungs.
lungs. I told you. Just for the record, if you are a fan of people quoting movies when they review them, this is not your episode. We're going to be quoting this movie the entire
Yeah.
time.
Exit now, like respectfully. It's all good. No hard feelings. It's just
the way that we
it
do
is
this.
what it is. We're not gonna stop. It's just
This is one of the most quotable movies that we have, I think, covered up until this moment.
so far, yeah.
There's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot of quotes that we're going to be doing. So be wary of that, I guess.
See, and that was the thing. I didn't know really what to expect. The only thing that I did before watching this movie was I didn't even watch a trailer, like anything. I read the little like letterbox description of the summary, whatever.
Yeah.
I looked at a few of the actors and directors to see what else they were on, and I read a few of the reviews that were not like spoilers, and I kind of tried to. I saw like the top 3, like the ones that show up.
Yeah.
And I saw kind of the scores that the people that I follow on Letterboxd gave, but I didn't like really see what they said because I didn't want to have like my opinion formed before. I just wanted to see like is this something that people really love overall, or is it mixed reviews? Like I just kind of wanted to see what the general consensus was amongst the people that I follow. And I just saw like the genres that they have. So it was like comedy, horror, crime. I'm like, okay, cool. So I was kind of expecting a mix of those 3 things, and that is exactly what I got, honestly. And kind of in that order, I would say maybe crime and horror I would switch because I feel like it out of the 3 genres that they categorize it as, I think there's less horror than anything else. Yeah. But there's still enough elements of it to be considered that, I guess, from at least from my knowledge, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that this is a horror movie, right? For me. Like the reason why, because I really am gagged at how much I enjoyed it, because I was expecting to like it in more in a neutral area and not like love it, but I loved it, honestly. And mostly because of how funny it was. Yeah. That was like the horror and crime aspect was there to support the comedy to me.
Yeah, I definitely agree that this is not that. Well, I guess it is horror, but it's not scary, I think is the best way to say it. It's not a scary movie, but it's still horror. So there's like a couple of movies that live in this like gray area of horror where it is technically horror, but there's much more about it that like the horror is not the primary thing about the movie, but it's still there. And so I definitely do think that this is more of a comedy than anything else, but I do think that the horror elements of it definitely add a lot to the comedy because without it, the comedy would not work. So I have become much and much more of a fan of this type of movie as the years go on, and so I have started to love this movie the more I watch it. Every time I watch it, I like it more.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay, the big problem that I have with a lot of horror movies, a lot, I'm not even gonna say modern horror movies, just like, okay, the post-Halloween era of horror. Let's just say that. I feel like that's a good qualifier here. Is a lot of them are very similar in what they do to get reactions out of people, right? I like a good slasher. Slashes are fun, right? Most of the time. But I hate cheap jump scares. And that is what so many horror films rely on to get their scares out, right?
Yeah.
Part of the fun of Halloween wasn't even just the jump scare effect that they did use a few times, but it's also just like the anxiety, right, that you feel the entire film, right? And that pressure of like, who the fuck is this man and why is he hunting down Jamie Lee Curtis? You know, like that's just part of the fun of the movie. And then I think we kind of lost the plot a little bit, specifically with, I'm just going to say it, Friday the 13th kind of put us in that box of, oh, well, we just need people to get scared by boom, surprise, man in a hockey mask. And then, you know, here we go. And because it did so well, and because those movies were so successful, people began thinking that that was all you needed to do to make a horror movie. And I hate saying it, they're technically not wrong. But the things that stand out about good horror movies is that they find ways to scare you that aren't cheap, right? They put in the effort to make you feel more than that. And I think this movie, something I want to touch on really quickly with this movie is the score that they use is like, I don't want to call it a modern horror score because that sounds like a basic critique, but it's using like the instrumentation of pop music and like that kind of thing and making that a horror score, which I think is extremely creative. I think they did a really
I was going to mention the score. It was very different.
Yeah. I will say, without this score, I think I probably would knock this movie a half star. I think the score pushed it up for me because there are moments in this movie that are kind of nothing, that on their own wouldn't be that scary, but the score just adds so much to.
I think scary is like it's tension, right?
Yeah,
because it's not like really scary, like you mentioned.
Yeah, the thing I want to touch on specifically is the scene where B gets like thrown out into the hurricane and is trying to get into the Jeep, right? That is the most anxiety-inducing car break-in I've seen in a movie in a while. And nothing happens, right? There is nothing there that's like scary itself. But because the score is built up to this point where you're like, God, she needs to get in the Jeep, get in the Jeep, get in the Jeep. Someone is out there hunting this girl, get in the Jeep, right?
The score is kind of telling you that like there's a possibility of something happening all of the time.
Yes.
And then sometimes it does, right? And we get a few moments, but even when it doesn't, you're still like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Oh my God. Like I was honestly, like I was going in between laughing my ass off and on the edge of my seat and like heart beating fast.
Yeah,
it was kind of a roller coaster.
It kind of puts you in the situation of the characters in the movie, right? Because it kind of like creates this tension that you don't know if something's going to happen, and half of the time it does, and half of the time it's just like, oh, there's no one actually chasing me and trying to come kill me now that I'm trying to get into the Jeep. And so I think it does really well by adding a lot of anxiety to the when into moments that would otherwise be not as anxiety inducing. Because I remember that like, when I think about it, if I had seen the movie and specifically the scene with the hurricane when they throw her out, and they didn't have the score that they put into it, I would have just been like, oh, she's fine. Just stay outside. You're going to be fine,
like,
girl.
it's
The
just
killer's
water,
inside.
right?
It's just water. You're going to be fine. But with the score, like you said, Brooke, it's very much like she needs to get in the car. Otherwise, something bad is going to happen. So I give the whoever worked in the score and the music huge props, because this is not my like area. I normally am not the person that's like, oh yeah, the score is something that's really interesting, but this time I did notice it and I did really like it, so that has to give some points to the movie, for me to notice it.
Yeah, and that's something I say all the time, like for the score, if you notice it, it's like it needs to be really good or really bad for the regular person that doesn't usually pay attention to that to notice it, right? And this one, even me, that like I kind of pay attention to that a little bit more because I used to want to work with that low-key. I like it really. I was trying to think of like, what does this remind me of? And I don't know. I just thought it was so original and interesting. And one thing that I wanted to note is that it was perfect to represent the fact that they were all fucking drugged out. So like, of course, because it was it was like, is it paranoia or is something gonna happen, or is it both? Like in it, as someone that went to parties like that and lived like that before the crime and violence and all of that. But
Yeah, of
everything that we see before they play the game, I have lived that life a lot for a long time. And it felt very real. It was very, like, of course, exaggerated it for the comedy, right?
Yeah.
In more like in a more updated version to the time that this was filmed, because when I was living that life, it was way before that. So it looked a little different, but the sentiment and the feeling that I had watching it was the same. I kind of felt like transported back to those times in my life, and it was very fun.
Mhm.
Very
So
realistic.
I just did a little looking to see who did the score for this movie, and I have never been more gagged in my entire life. So the stage name is Disaster Piece, right?
Okay.
And I thought that name sounded familiar, so I clicked on the Wikipedia page. This is the person that did the score for two video games that are both really good. One of them is a game called Fez. The other one is called Hyper Light Drifter. I fucking love Hyper Light Drifter, by the way. Have not had the opportunity to ever discuss that in any context on the internet. Lovely game. Highly recommend. If you're a Zelda fan, go have fun with that. It's like a futuristic-y style, like Zelda sort of thing. Great time. Old school Zelda, 2D Zelda.
Okay.
But on top of it, this is the same guy that did the score for It Follows. And knowing that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yes.
It's not identical, but there is some similarities there. I think this is a better score. But also, It Follows did come out like almost a decade before this did, so I'm not too shocked by that. River, you've not seen that movie, have you?
No.
Yeah,
it's
not your bag. It's not your bag.
It's not for you, but it's a very interesting movie. Like, for anyone out there that hasn't watched it, that is a somewhat fan of horror, give it a try.
Mm-hmm. I think you would find it interesting if you knew the concept. I'll just quickly. It's
the lore, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it because I think I want you to see the movie. But because I think you might like it. You might be intrigued.
There's a world in which River likes it.
But I will
one
say
thing that I wanted to mention as well. Oh, sorry, just quickly is that besides the score, also I love the way that this movie looks. Especially in the beginning, before, like, even after when the horror stuff starts happening, but like especially before, it's so colorful.
Mm-hmm.
And I mentioned before we started recording, like, I watched it during the day, so the darker scenes were a little bit harder to watch, but that's not the movie's fault.
Mm.
But like all of the colorful, like the set design, like everything, the movie looks so good. I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. I will mention specifically with that, the lighting in this movie is very interesting because, yet again, that podcast brought this to my attention. It's very interesting how every single person in this movie is like it's lit differently to each other, and how that represents their own characters when you think about it. Like, Jordan is always carrying the headlamp, and that's because she's resourceful and she's smart, and she like is the best survivalist out of all of like these characters, other than Greg, obviously. And like people like Alice has all of the glow sticks around her because she's very self-centered, and it's always like about her, and it's like very like colorful and very like, it's not like the best thing for survival to be wearing like glow sticks around your neck and around your wrists forever, and that's like everything Alice is all about. And like Bree is always carrying around her phone, and that makes sense because she constantly needs to be next to her phone because of her mom, and she's like all of that. So I found very interesting to hear that, how every single character has a different way to be lit, and how that represents their character in the movie. So everything about this movie is thought out. There you go. That I really, really appreciate all those little details as well.
Also, the soundtrack was like so good. Okay, doing a TikTok to Bored in the House really transported me to that era. Like, it really took me there, and it was I live.
And like I said, it like becomes a parody of like the COVID parties that rich kids used to throw in 2020, and they used to. I remember being bombarded by in Twitter and on TikTok of like people criticizing these people and like watching a lot of the videos and hearing the audio a bunch of times and like hearing like just watching this kind of energy of like rich people being like, I'm better than you and I'm having a party while you're out there dying of COVID. So I thought it really transported me to that time as well.
No, like
Yeah.
it's really interesting now because it's crazy to say this, we're 6 years removed from when the pandemic started, right?
Yeah.
And now, I mean, I don't want to say the world has turned back to normal. We still feel the effects of everything that happened and what we went through, and it does feel like we lost 2 years of our lives because, let's be honest, we kind of did. But it's hard to get back in that COVID mindset for me. Like thinking about to where I was at and like what the differences were for me versus like other people, right? Like I was living with my parents and I also went back to school. Like I was living on campus in college in a dorm during most of lockdown, right? So
Girl, I was living with my grandparents a year after getting out of rehab.
Damn.
Like it was a time. But watching this movie brought me back. I felt the taste of that fucking TikTok coffee in my mouth watching this. The fucking like the
whipped
creamy
coffee.
shit. Oh my god, and it was so good too. And I did that so many times. I was so good. Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah,
ordering alcohol delivery to my grandparents' house after they went to sleep. Oh my
I
god.
never did that.
Girl. Anyway.
No, you're good. So yeah, like it was definitely an interesting watch for me again because I hadn't watched it in a couple of years. So the first time I watched it was like relatively close around COVID, and now it's so far removed from my brain that it was really interesting to get back in that headspace, even for just a little bit, even if it's not like an overt theme in this movie or anything. But yeah, like I did like getting that aspect of this movie back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, like I said, it really reminded me of the like high school parties that I kind of went to because it was very much like that. And I was very much Jordan of like, I was in like a good school, whatever, like very privileged and everything like that. But inside of my school and my friend group, I was the poor kid. You know what I mean? Like, but outside of that, I was I was privileged in comparison to everyone else. But inside of that world, I was very much that. And it's just really fun. It's just, I don't know how it was possible to capture that reality so perfectly. And the way that they turn on each other like that for no reason. Like, it's insanely realistic. It's so fun.
Well,
and have no care of like other people's shit, like feelings or belongings, or like like getting all the family stuff, like the dad's liquor and all of that, like destroying the place basically, like no regard for anyone else's anything, quite frankly.
Well, the reason why I think they were able to manage that is because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they did ask people like Gen Z, 20-something year olds to help actually figure out how like people around that age actually speak and how like if you have a friend that's like the rich kid, how they act, how they like respond to several things. And I think that really helped out, give it its like how like real it is. Its realism was really engraved into it because they asked actual people that they were depicting how they would actually react in this type of situations. So I think that really, really helped it because if this was in the wrong hands, this could have been absolutely awful. The writing could have been horrible and it could have been like very much like, hello fellow kids, and like I think this is how kids work, and I think this is how kids talk now, and I think this is how kids interact with each other. And like we've seen a lot of shows and movies that try to do that and do that in an awful way. I think talking to actual Gen Zers and 20-something year old people that are like being depicted here really really helps the writing and really really helps the comedy because they also let them just ad lib a bunch of the the quotes like the "you're silencing me" quote that was improvised by Rachel, like that was not in the script. And I think there's a lot of quotes that are just not in the script that have become iconic in this movie, so I think that also really really helped out give it its realism.
And
They
also the
also just
performances, like
cast a bunch.
you mentioned the writing was great, but I think the performances, the actors did a really great job as well with translating that into
Yeah, absolutely.
the final project. Yeah. Sorry,
Well,
bro,
they
go
cast
ahead.
a bunch of 20-somethings. Of course, they're going to know how to talk
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
generation
No,
because
but I
they
mean,
are
they
that
casted the
generation.
perfect people for their roles. You know what I mean? Like, I think I can't
Mhm.
really imagine anyone else like doing those roles. Like, I think everyone did a fantastic job with what they had to do.
Yes.
I mean, the oldest person on this cast is Lee Pace, right? And he's the only one who doesn't talk like that. So naturally, it's going to be a little bit different. But like
Yeah.
everyone else in this cast at the time was like late 20s, mid 20s. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, of course they're going to know how to talk like that. Um, and I do like that Pete Davidson doesn't always talk like that. Like sometimes he just talks like a normal person, and then other times it's just no, he goes full zillennial, and it's pretty great. Like I do think they did a really good job making sure people were, you know, like you said, it's not hello fellow kids. It's not in that area of like cringe. It does kind of have a little bit of that like Juno, Mean Girls, Clueless, Heather's
And
energy,
yeah.
where
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is just how people talk, and it makes sense that they're speaking like this. So I do like that.
Mhm.
Um, I do think I want to go ahead and throw my big criticism out because I do think it is relevant, right? The screenplay, fine. Okay, sorry. The script, good. The screenplay, I needed a little bit of TLC. There's a lot of meandering for decent parts of this movie. There's a lot of times where the pace is just slow and there's no shit, not to be confused with the Lee pace, of course. There's a lot of times where the pace of this film is a little bit slow, and then the end is just so fast. The
Mhm.
last like I'll say the last
30
20 minutes
minutes.
before
Yeah.
the ultimate ending is pretty quick. Um, and it feels like it didn't know when to speed up and when to slow down in a way that created a nice arc for the film, because it just goes, and then suddenly it's just over. um so that's my big knock on it. I think it definitely could have used a little bit more TLC put into when things happened and how long we're choosing to focus on certain things and to build certain things, versus other different events that are going on in the movie.
Mhm.
I will say
I
that
could see that.
I agree I agree a little bit. And I agree, but I don't. It doesn't, not to the same level. Like, it doesn't bother me to the same level, I don't think. Um, but I did one thing that I did write on my notes that was like, I think the only negative that I can remember that I wrote was that in a few moments it was a little boring. Like, in a few months, especially the um scenes of like them walking around the house in the dark, whatever, like to build up suspense. I'm like,
Hmm.
yes, some of those are necessary, but I think there were too many and they were too long. Not all of them, but like I think that was the only thing that really bothered me. I would say is like a few of them were like, okay, can we, like, whatever, like another one, especially I think there were two with the same character alone. I'm like, we
Hmm.
don't need it. It felt a little like fluffer, or like a to fill up space or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the
There's a
outtakes in the end, I'm like, why didn't you put some of these outtakes in place of that? Anyway, but that's
yeah.
my slight criticism, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, River. I definitely do think that it is one of the issues that I have with the movie, but it doesn't bother me that much. Like I still really enjoy a lot
Because
of this
everything else
movie.
is so good.
Yeah, everything else about it is so good that it doesn't bother me that there's some times where like we're trying to build tension, and sometimes it's just a little too long. But at the same time, like I think this was Halina's like directorial debut, so it also makes sense to like have some kinks here and there. So I don't have like any huge problems with it. I definitely do agree that like sometimes it got like not boring, but like I was like and waiting until we moved on to the next part. So I was like, yeah, we're building tension, and especially rewatching it. I'm like, I know nothing's gonna happen here, so I'm just like, okay, maybe we can move on. We could move on a little bit quicker, but I think that's just an issue with me rewatching it. Like, I think I remember when I watched it originally, I didn't have this issue at all. So maybe, as I said, maybe it's an issue with me rewatching it, knowing that some of these scenes where we're building tension and maybe something could happen and nothing ends up happening, I know that nothing's gonna happen. So maybe that also affects it a little bit, but not too much.
Also, I wanted to talk about quickly, unless we're still on the same topic. If you still have something to say about this.
Yeah, I think a lot of it just has to do with the fact of like how the plot is structured, because I'm going to use murder mystery because this is kind of a bit of a murder mystery. A little bit. It does have a little bit of that like Clue, Agatha Christie, who done it kind of vibe, even if it is a little bit. It's not the same kind of style there, but it's a little similar. The big problem is that when you have characters dying, but no logical conclusions that you can be reaching as to who did what, it does make it harder to be engaged in the actions of the characters that are still alive. Because let's just go ahead and get it out of the way. By the end of the movie, we find out there was no murderer, and that well, I mean technically B, but like, we find out that David was jealous of Greg, and he was trying to do that champagne thing with the sword, and he accidentally cut his own carotid artery like an idiot.
To the sound of Bored in the House.
Absolutely.
Bored in the House. Then, we saw Greg get murdered by B, so we knew that Greg was killed by B. Then Emma, who was pushed down the stairs, was high on something, some whatever pills that Sylvie gave her, and then she fell down the stairs and died. We know that Jordan shot Emma, and then Jordan shot Emma again on accident. And then we saw B
Alice.
Oh yeah, sorry. My apologies. Alice, not Emma. And then we saw B throw Jordan over the banister.
Yeah.
So like,
which I lived, by the way. Love that.
Yeah.
Also, can I just mention how many?
Movie. Check her.
I was going to say, imagine your last words in this world are check her text.
I live to be that petty. I love it. Love it. I wanted to say the one thing that pissed me off, and I know this is not supposed to be realistic, right? It's a movie, whatever. How many fucking bullets were in that gun? Because she was just shooting forever. I'm like, isn't it okay? What? I don't know too much about guns, but I'm like, I know there's a number.
Like 12 to 14, and that would have been.
Yeah,
reasonable.
I was going to say we had 2 shots that were on Alice, then 1 shot into the air before Alice got killed, and then like 10 other shots that were shot once Jordan was dying. So that's equals about 13. So that's, I would imagine, about a full cartridge. That's my thought process. Sure. I've never held a gun.
Maybe it might be my ignorance, but I just felt like, oh my god,
I don't know anything about guns.
Does this small gun have that many shots? Anyway,
I don't
maybe
know
it might. I don't
anything
know
about guns, but it seems like a regular gun. And in movies, I've seen like them go up to like 100, and that's obviously crazy. So 15 doesn't seem like a crazy amount of like bullets.
Well, it depends on the gun. It depends on like if you're firing a machine gun with like a bandolier.
Well, yeah, but that's what I meant with the like, size of the gun. I know a little bit. That's
well, that was more directed at Eduardo. But this pistol, this is probably going to have about 12 to 13 or 14, and it wouldn't have been too.
Yeah,
then it's not. Then it wasn't that real.
Yeah, like
it's just me. Okay,
just being reasonable. I don't know what type of gun it was. It could have been more bullets than that gun held.
Sure.
Honestly, I don't really care. I think it's fun.
I just wanted to bring it up because it was something that I was like, when it was happening, I was like, oh my god, what the fuck?
The game is up, Scarlet. There are no more bullets left in that gun.
One thing I wanted to mention that I thought it was so funny because he wasn't in much of this movie, right? But Greg, first of all, the fact that he was there to begin with was low-key weird, but like we all know that guy, right? It's whatever.
I will say, Greg, I think is like when it comes to like morals, Greg is the best character that we have in this this movie. It is weird that he has a girlfriend that is way younger than him, but other than that, he seems like a
why are you partying with like 20-year-old? Whatever.
Yeah, but other than that, he seems like a genuinely nice guy that's like very, very chill, that just wants to hang out. So I don't know.
Like he was literally just minding his business. But one thing that I really loved was him pretending to be dead for real during the game was so funny. And the way that they woke him up and woke him up or whatever, like that was so, funny. And I love that he just, when he realized that David was on some bullshit, he was like, you know what? I'm removing myself. I'm going to bed. I'm not dealing with these kids.
Well, that's how you notice that he is older than the rest of the people, because he's like, okay, this dude is clearly trying to pick a fight with me. I'm going to remove myself. I'm going to go somewhere else. And like when they find him with the mask on, he doesn't say like, oh, you're playing bodies. He's saying, oh, you're playing werewolf. Or whatever. So like it's like, oh, the old school type. Like he confuses the game of bodies with werewolf, which makes a lot of sense when
which is
like,
superior,
especially
by the way. Significantly a better game than bodies, and I will.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Shout out to my traders, Shirley's.
Him in the mask was crazy.
Yeah,
was so
I will say. My favorite thing about Greg is that once he eventually dies, they're like, well, he was a vet. He went to Iran or Iraq. Who knows? And then Alice just goes, he's a veterinarian. He's
a vet assistant. I want to just add on here. We don't really know explicitly how old Greg is in this movie. And we also don't really know how old... We know they're in their 20s, probably.
I would imagine between 20 and 25, right?
Well, they're older than that because we know that B is supposed to have graduated from Utah State, and we also know that they're all at least, I would say at least 23, 24 at the absolute youngest would be.
Okay, then it's not that weird. Like if they're not like 20 and 21, that's not that weird. It's fine.
Yeah, it's not like
if it's like 30 something, it's fine.
That's I would say that he looks about. I would say he looks about 40 in my mind, which is still a little weird, but like it's not the craziest age difference that I've seen, and like it didn't bother me as much.
Especially because it would be like you and David being in the same party, like that's fine.
Yeah,
right.
And like I think that would be fine, and also like Greg just seems like a genuinely nice guy, so like I think that also helps avoid the creepiness of like dating a younger girl. So that definitely like eases the possible weirdness of the age gap difference. But yeah, it definitely didn't bother me. And R.I.P. Greg, I fucking loved you. You were amazing, and you got murdered gone too soon. Had they kept Greg alive, Greg would have just fixed this issue so fast. None of this would have happened. It would have just been resolved so quickly. And
probably why they killed him.
Yeah.
Probably why they killed him. I also would like to point out too, this is my one knock for Greg. Dude, just put the knife down. I understand.
Right?
Put the knife down.
I also understand.
The knife down. Okay, hold on.
No, because you know what? You're around people that are on drugs and have weapons on their hands. You never know, girl. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Let me add. Hold on. Quite literally, I understand him first being like, "Oh, this is part of the game. Somebody killed David. Oh no!" Right? Like he wasn't there. But also, you can look at these people and recognize that they are legitimately terrified and legitimately scared. And if, at the end of it, if it's an all shucks okey doke and they were playing a joke on you, that's shitty. And you could just break up with this girl and leave. Like, you know what I mean? Like, just put.
Well, you couldn't really leave.
Put the knife down.
Well,
put
I
the
would-
knife
But I agree with you.
down.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
He
I-
did, he could have
I-
helped himself a little bit more.
yeah, he definitely didn't like go. Like he didn't like go the best about it. Like he didn't fix the issue the way it should have. But at the same time, I don't blame him for not putting the knife down because
Right.
if a bunch
You're
of like
surrounded.
20-something-year-old girls are coming at you, screaming at you, telling you are a murderer, and two of them have knives, and they're coming at you, attacking you, you're in danger. It doesn't
In a
matter how
closed
young.
room, and
Yeah.
where you can't, there's no phone signal, you can't call for help, you don't have a car, like, hello?
Yeah, it doesn't matter how young these kids are, they're still attacking you. And even after like the knife is taken away, when they do jump on him and he accidentally does like hurt Jordan, he goes, "Oh my God, I am so sorry." Like he clearly doesn't want to hurt these kids, but he's in a situation where he's being attacked physically by this kid, so he has to defend himself. What else is he supposed to do? Just lay down and let Jordan like stab him? Like, no. To me, it makes sense. Like, yeah, it's not the best way to solve this issue, and like he definitely didn't go about it the best way. But I also don't blame him for like in the
Being
moment going about
defensive.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't
No way.
blame him, but we also need to recognize that he was the only person in that room with any sort of sense in his mind at the moment. And in that situation, as unfortunate as it is, it does require him to be a little bit more cognitive than anybody else. Now, I do want to just go ahead and add here, be killing this man with a kettlebell.
Girl, the way I
Crazy.
gagged, truly gagged when she killed him, I was not expecting that. Girl.
I remember when I watched it for the first time, I got so mad. I got so mad.
But he had the biggest lungs.
As I said, I fucking loved Greg throughout this entire the short time that he was there. So when he died, I got so pissed. I got so pissed. I think there's only two deaths in this movie that I was like, well, god fucking damn it. And it's both Greg and Alice. Both of their deaths, I was like, god damn it, you were my favorites. Why did you have to die?
Ellis was so messy, and I live when they were like before Greg went to sleep, right? When she brought up that David and Emma barely had sex in front of everyone. I love her. That was so amazing. And then
Alice
David
is still
started
messy
going off
still.
on Emma, and then it was really shitty, but low-key he was really funny because he was talking about like she said gaslighting, and then he was like started going off, and he was like, "Congratulations, you have a Twitter account." So,
Well, that's the thing, right? He's saying it in like a terrible way, but he's not quite wrong.
it's
Like
not
we
right.
have started like using the terms gaslighting and narcissism, and they've started to lose their
Too
meaning
much.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So it does make sense, but he definitely like went way too hard on
But in
Emma,
that
but at the same
case,
time-
she was right. Like she was correct.
Yeah,
She was
yeah.
stalking him.
yeah, absolutely. Fucking Emma, Jesus Christ, Emma pissed me off so much in this movie.
Ugh.
Emma
But I will
pissed
say
me
one
off.
thing that I love is that he was the first one to die, and in the stupidest way possible. I live
Well,
because he's the
okay.
worst. The worst.
Let me just go ahead and touch on one of my favorite things about this movie. Thank you for subverting horror tropes. Oh my lord, thank you so much, because
Mhm.
a lesser horror film would have probably killed Jordan first. Honestly,
Yeah.
let's just be blunt with ourselves. And it's nice to have two of the last three people in the film be women of color. Thank you very much. So thank you for that, because it's nice seeing a movie where it's just women in a horror film doing the gig instead of, men doing the big, strong, ooga booga, I'm going to defend the ladies thing. Like, no, the guys die very quickly, and then it turns into a full-on cat fight, and I'm here for it. And this movie is
They all
Yeah.
turn on each other. I love it.
Yeah,
No,
I also love. I'm gonna say this very quickly. I love that all of like, especially the women of color in this movie. And that, as you said, in the lesser horror movie, not only would they be killed off first, but I also think they would be very bland. They would just be like, "Oh, I'm I'm this girl's like best friend, and that's it. That's all I have. And these characters actually have complexity to them. There's
Mm-hmm.
moments where they're like, okay, you're in the wrong, and then there's moments where you're like, okay, you're in the right, and sometimes it's like, I hate you, I love you, I'm having mixed feelings, and I think that really also adds a lot to this movie for me as well.
Mhm. To add on very quickly, my favorite scene of the entire movie is when B gets back into the house and the four of them just go in on each other. You get to see some of
Gloves
the
are
best moments.
off.
Some of the best moments in this movie are people are like them calling Sophie a professional victim and B explaining that her mom has borderline, and then Alice
Alice
trying
being
to
like,
be
I
like,
have body dysmorphia.
I better
Oh, shut up!
and die.
Shut up, Alice.
Oh, fuck off and die.
No,
No, fuck off and die. The way I screamed. That is why I chose that one. I'm sure my neighbors heard me and were like, "What the fuck is going on?" What the
These
fuck's
women
happening?
genuinely took turns fighting each other, and I fucking loved it.
no, but every single line they were saying, it was just the truth. They were all just telling each other what they actually thought about each
Yeah.
other. And then my favorite part of all of this is Sophie has a very real moment and is like, oh, so I, the black girl, can do coke and be an addict and I need help and I need to go do stuff, but my best friend who's a white cis male can use coke all the time and nobody has a problem with it. And I'm like, you did clock them.
There is
Pretty
a lot of
damn
good social commentary here. There's
Yes.
good social commentary.
But there's that, and then Jordan's like, I had to be in the ambulance with you when you overdosed three different times when I thought you were going to die. And I'm like,
You did have a problem then, so
yeah. Well, but then she's like, I got help. She's like, they literally drugged you away, kicking and screaming. And I'm like,
yeah.
she still got help, even if she didn't want it. She still got like she did what she's supposed to do. She got help. Why are we? What the fuck? But then it keeps going.
But she got help, but she didn't become a better person necessarily.
No.
You know what I mean? Because she was still being a shit.
No,
That's
she's still
not-
awful.
And she
All of these people are terrible. Like that,
Yes.
none of them. Okay, I will say this. I
It's
don't
like
think he
Gossip
is
Girl.
about
They're
this.
all terrible. It's very much that, but with
I don't
a horror
think
crime.
B is a bad person. I think she is.
Right.
I think she is not in a good place to be in a relationship at the moment, and I think she needs to work on herself before she can be available for that. Everyone else in this movie, other than Greg, is bad. They are all bad people.
Yeah, there you go. I agree with that. I agree with that.
But the single best moment of this entire film for me is Sophie telling Alice that Jordan watches her podcast, right?
Yep.
And then Jordan's like, "No, I love your I like your podcast. What do you mean?" And then they ask Alice what your podcast is about. Hanging out with your smartest and coolest best friend. And then
Jordan just goes, "Ah."
Not hide.
like she is so like committed to the bit for so long about your podcast is great, and then it's just one flex comment from Alice is enough for her to be like, fuck off. And it's so
Fuck off and die, actually.
Fuck off and die. That
and then
scene
Alice
really
going
creepy.
off about how hard to. Oh my god!
her rags,
so good.
her rags
you
to
have to get
riches
the little
story.
calendar, and you have to schedule your guests.
I will say that
For a
scene.
long
I'm
time.
working really hard on it for a
Yeah.
really long time.
That scene really like changed now that we actually have this channel. So like watching it now, I'm like, I do kind of understand Alice a little bit, but at the same time, as we said, girl, it's not that hard.
Girl,
Okay.
It's not that.
much.
It's
No,
genuinely
not
not
too
that
much.
hard.
Do you know what we do for this podcast? People watching at home, right? Because we do consider it a podcast. It's technically a YouTube video, but it's also a bit of a podcast. You know what we do? We each pick a movie. We do have a singular Google sheet with a schedule of what we are watching. And then we watch, and then we come into the studio and we film. River takes care of the back end stuff on the uploads, and that's it. That's just what we do. I will say this: if River was the person complaining about how much work we had to do on this podcast, totally get it. Yep, River does. Yeah,
Fair.
River is valid for complaining about it.
But if
okay.
But I love it, so it doesn't matter.
It's like if I were complaining about it.
Every single thumbnail for this channel.
Yes.
I want to quickly give River props to that. River does all of our thumbnails. River does. I used to do a lot of the back end stuff, but the past couple of weeks it's been River doing it, and it seems like
I just realized that you were like late a few times, and I was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm just gonna do it because I have the time, and it doesn't really matter.
Quick props to River, because River does a lot of work that you all
absolutely.
Yeah,
but you know that I do it because I have the time and the energy, and so I feel like it's the fairest way. Honestly,
I mean, so here's the thing, right? You still do it, so I want to give you your props in here on the stage.
Well, yes. And I'm gonna pat myself in the back, and I do it well. So
absolutely.
Thank you. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah, like camp, pure fucking camp. Oh god. But also,
I forgot the name of the actress.
Fucking irritated with this bitch. That she shoots her in the damn leg because she is that irritated with her.
And I love that Alice goes, "You shot me," and Jordan responds with, "No, I didn't."
No, I didn't.
Hello? Hello? Gun
and then
out to here.
Alice reacts in the funniest way possible. Like, just...
I've never been shot before. It hurts so much.
And then they start fighting and like scrambling to get the gun, and it's just like, my leg.
Oh, my leg. You're standing on my leg. You're standing on my leg.
Oh my god. Also, when Alice is like looking for B and she falls on top of Emma's dead body, girl, she went through a lot.
My girl Alice was really going through it.
She really did.
Fighting for her life up in there, like genuinely. And as I said, Emma pissed me off so much. But this is something that
kissing Sophie in that moment was fucking unhinged. Actually,
it was crazy. It's genuinely crazy. Like
wild.
Genuinely insane. Like here's some drugs. Okay, thank you.
I don't even know what to say.
I'm going to make up with you. Like, hello? Crazy. Absolutely.
What do you mean? What do you mean actually? That you're gonna kiss me right now?
Yeah, like fully out of line. Fully fucking insanity. Like I get it. I get it.
Like your best friend's girl. Like from Sophie's point of view, right? Like David, her best friend, was just murdered in her head or died, and then his girlfriend, the girlfriend of the guy that just fucking died, is kissing the guy's best friend in his house, mind you.
Like I don't know, like as I was gonna say, I don't know what's going through Emma's head, but generally it's just Xanax. That's the thing that's going through her head. So that's why maybe she thought that. But like it's genuinely crazy. Like my boyfriend just died. I am traumatized. I'm in a lot of drugs. What am I going to do? I'm gonna make out with his best friend. I'm going to grab
that just cussed me out, actually. That just went off on me.
Told me how much she hates me.
And
I'm gonna make out with her.
Like, okay.
I'm gonna make out with her. Like, genuinely, absolutely insane. Also, like, it pissed me off when she, like, walked off for absolutely no reason. A lot of the characters do this in the movie, but Emma, I don't know why specifically when she did it, pissed me off the most. Because, like, everyone else, it kind of made sense why they walked off. Like, when B walked off and they were looking for her, it made sense. She had just thrown up on top of herself. Like, yes, of course. She's going to change. She's going to get cleaned up. That makes sense. But Emma just walking off for absolutely no reason, I don't know why, it pissed me off.
She'll just do whatever she wants.
It's a horror trope that they gotta split up so that way there's anxiety as to who could be the killer. But I'll be quite honest with you, I do not think any single person on this cast, with the possible exception of Greg, is competent enough to be a horror movie killer. They're just not. And I think that's the first thing for me that's like the big red flag of the twist, which we have already discussed. Like we mentioned, there is no killer.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Which is a great twist.
Yeah, nobody is the serial killer going through the house bumping people off, right? There's no killer in the movie. But I don't think any
Well,
of these people
Jordan
are called
technically
to-
is a killer, but not that. But yes.
I was going to say, I think the only person out of this cast, other than Greg, that could really pull this off, even somewhat, would be Jordan. And even then, I don't think she would do it as successfully as she did. And I do agree with you, Brooke. It didn't bother me, but I definitely had moments where I was like, well, none of these people really have a motive to kill, like, some of these people. Because, like, sure, maybe Jordan had a reason to kill, I don't know, maybe fucking David, but has no reason to kill Emma, or like Sophie has no reason to kill David, has a reason to kill Emma. Uh, and then Max is also like a constant unknown that could be walking around and
We
actually
don't even
killing
meet.
all of these people. We only meet Max up until the very last scene, and we see him for like
Okay, is
10
that
seconds.
the person that comes in the end? Is that Max or is that
Yes.
David's dad? That's Max.
That's Max. That's Max.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's
Okay,
that's
okay.
Max coming in, and then that's like the reveal of like who Max is. And I guess this is just to make sure that people understand Max was also not killing anybody.
Not
He's
there,
not
yeah.
responsible for any of the deaths that happen in this movie. He's just there. He's just
Yeah.
there. So yeah.
Fun
But
fact,
yeah.
Connor O'Malley, who plays Max, is married to Adie Bryant from SNL. And I like Adie Bryant, so I wanted to go ahead and give her a little shout out here while we're here on this day. But I do like this movie. And I think a lot of my problems with it are just based on the fact that I feel like parts of this film are just unnecessary. But maybe that's just me. It's just the meandering, wandering around the spooky house with no lighting shots for 10 minutes, like, and then also the opening 15 takes a while to get going. And then even when they get to the house, there's that like weird dichotomy going on of like the first 5 minutes, and that's a little meh.
Well, as we know, Brooke is a lot harsher when it comes to rating movies than both River and I are. But yeah, I think for me the biggest issue is that yes, the meandering, but it's like without it, it would have been a top tier movie. And with it, it unfortunately does, like, it is a big enough issue that like it does knock out like a little bit off of its score, but not enough for me to be like, I have issues with it. So I still love it, but like I definitely do understand like where you're coming from. But yeah, I think also like the opening scene, just Brie and Sophie making out
with
for
tongue is crazy.
Yeah,
opening the first shot being tongue close up is crazy to me. I can't. But then that really gagged me a little. I was like, oh my god, ew, what? Oh my god, like it's the opening. Oh, okay. And then they're like, whatever, playing. Then she has to pee, I guess. I don't know. The first scene of like when we get to meet Sophie and B, that first scene before they get in the car it throws me off a little bit. The I love you, whatever, like that. I was like, okay. I was like, You know when you're watching a movie and you're like, kind of.
Yeah.
I was kind of feeling like that. And then when they got in the car and when they started like going to the house, after that I was like, okay. I stopped feeling like that, and then I was like in. So I agree with you slightly, Brooke. With like the beginning for me was just the beginning, like the first literal scene, and when it comes to the like dark shots, the meandering, the walking around the house, I do agree. It just doesn't bother me as much, right?
Yeah.
But I do agree with that. One thing that I wanted to point out about the ending that I thought was really, first of all, the ending I think was really smart. Of like, B was like with Sophie the whole time, and like she was like, okay, like defended her, whatever, and all of that. And then towards the end, she was like, she found the underwear right in the car. Then she was putting things together, and then when she asked Sophie to answer honestly, and we could all tell that Sophie was lying.
Yeah.
And she could tell, and then she like went off, and she was like, "You frightened me," and they split, whatever. And then when they're fighting to get the phone at the end, first of all, pointing a gun and being like, "Give me your phone," is crazy. At this point, just break up. If you need to see someone's phone that badly that you need to point a gun at them, just break up. But I get it. It was funny anyway. It's a movie, whatever. But the scene of them figuring out that it wasn't Sophie's phone, and then B going over to his dead body, opening the eyes to unlock the phone is fucking crazy, and I love it. Insane. It was so funny.
I do want to add in here though. I don't think that is necessarily why she pointed the gun at her for the phone. I think, and maybe this is just me, I think she wanted to know if she was lying to her. And then if she was lying to her, she was going to be a lot more worried about her possibly being the person who murdered these people. Because she just told her that she found out that she watched Emma die, right? And that she saw Emma fall down the stairs.
She knew what happened and didn't tell anyone. Like, she knew that she had fallen.
And no, before that, she's like hugging her. Everything seems to be good. And I think that was enough for her to be like, okay, maybe she actually is the murderer. And I need to be worried about her.
Can't trust the bitch.
I can't trust the bitch. So she wanted to know if she could trust her or not. And I will say by the end of this movie, I think the answer is no, you cannot.
No.
No,
girl. Definitely can.
Dude, okay, let me ask the room. Let's ask the audience. Did Jordan and Sophie sleep together before Sophie came up for this weekend with me?
100%.
Yes, they did. They absolutely 100%. did. I mean, that's why her underwear was in the car. There's no other explanation to why the underwear was in the car.
Glad we are on the same page. Okay, great.
Like when we saw B seeing the top, like because the bottom was in the car and the top part was in Jordan's room.
Yes.
So it's when we saw that first, like her picking up the yellow bra and noticing that, I kind of kept that in mind. I'm like, it's the gun, right? Theory of like, if they show you a gun, they're gonna, So I knew that there was a reason why she picked up that bra. I just didn't know what it was, but I was like kind of already puzzling it together. But 100% they did. 100%.
Yeah, that's what they did.
One little thing I want to touch on before I think we're coming to a wrapping up conclusion-esque spot here. I do love B going back to the car to fix her makeup and leaving the little car mirror open, the light on for the face mirror. Because
immediately I was like, the battery's gonna die.
I mean, literally the same thing. I was like, oh, okay.
I thought it was Chekhov's gun. Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Chekhov's vanity mirror.
Chekhov's vanity mirror. There you go. Chekhov's vanity mirror and Chekhov's lacy underpants.
Yellow bra.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So are we at a good stopping point here today, do we think?
Yes. And I am thinking now because with the scores, right? I am thinking, what am I going to do?
We bumping up or not? Because I know both of my favorite panelists.
That is the question.
Yeah.
It begs the question.
I am fine with my score. I will just say that. I am in a good spot with my score.
I will say that I will be changing mine. So if you wanna do that, simply because, and I don't know, can I go first?
Up or down? Up or down? Which direction are we going?
Oh, I'm going up.
Okay, half.
Going up. Yes. Okay. Oh yeah, that's not too much.
I had to ask. I just wanted to make sure.
I mean, hey, we're still,
realistic.
Well, I guess I don't know if you want to go first because y'all picked it. But
traditionally we would. I'll just go ahead and get my out of the way because I do have the lowest score out of the three of us. I do like this movie. I think this movie's pretty good. I don't think this movie is like perfect by any means. I think there are definitely some problems. A lot of them have to do with the pacing. And then also on top of that, it is a bit deflating. The ending, as cruel and creative as it is, the ending is a little bit deflating for me. Especially where it's just, we're fighting over this phone to see if you actually cheated on me or not. And then suddenly we find out that there was no murderer. That's a bit weird. They kind of just stop fighting when they find the other phone. But that's just where it is. This is a bit weird. So for me, I give it 3.5 out of 5. I think it's a good movie. And yeah, it's fun time. Just as fun as it was the first time I watched it. Eduardo.
I'm still like, I don't know if I'm gonna up it or not. You know what? Sure, fuck it. Up it half a star.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck it. Why not?
Yes. Why
Uh,
not?
I really love this movie. As I said, I've shown it to other people that are not fans of horror, and every time I watch it, I have a genuinely such a good time watching it. And also, I thank this movie for introducing me to the world of Sennott. I fucking love that bitch. She's iconic. And there's just a lot about this movie that I love. I love the queer representation about it. I love how bitchy and like horrible all of these characters are. I love how complex everything about it is. I love all the little details that I've already talked about throughout this recording. So for that reason, it has to be a 4.5 out of 5. It's still not perfect, but still very good.
Let me update your score. Hold on.
There you go. I told you that I was going to up it.
Well, I had to update it. My apologies. River.
So, we all know that I had small criticism, small problems with this movie, and it really did surpass my expectations going in, which were neutral, kind of. But I wasn't expecting to love this movie. I was expecting to at most like it, and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. I had a really, really fun time watching this. It kept me on the edge of my seat, even though I was kind of laying down. But it was just a great time, and I don't have enough problems with it to give it less than a 4.5. There was no reason.
Yeah.
What was the reason?
What was the reason?
I can't find one.
Well, that does bring us to a collective average of 4.17, which, let's see, that is the first time we have had that collective average, I believe, at least in a hot minute, at least on this podcast. We have not had that one before.
We all gave 0.5. That's interesting.
Yeah. This is also, interestingly enough, that we brought up The Craft. This is the exact same score breakdown that we had when we reviewed The Craft the first time. With me giving it a 3.5 and you both giving it a 4.5. It is the same score breakdown. Perfectly.
Makes sense.
Yep, makes sense. So thank you for joining us for Women Directors Month. It has been a really fun time honoring some pretty great ladies in cinema. And we look forward to doing more movies by women in the future. I'm just going to say that now. We look forward to having more women-directed movies on this podcast. But now it's time to talk about June. And if you note something about the three of us, there should be no shock about what we're doing for June. This should be the easiest slam dunk prediction you could have thrown on your calendar for the entire year. Happy Pride, bitches.
Baby, it's Pride Month.
Baby, yes. It's Pride Month.
It's gay month. Yay.
It is time to support queer rights and wrongs as seen in this film.
It's time for corporations to recolor their logos rainbow for exactly 30 days out of the calendar year. And you know what? We're here, we're queer, and we're throwing some good movies onto the podcast for you guys this month that are all at least queer adjacent. I will say all of these movies are pretty damn gay. Let's just throw that out there. So for starters, we're doing a bit of a different order this month in terms of selections. Normally we save the group choice for the end, or like the extra picks for the end like we did this month. This month, the group choice is actually going to be the third movie we're covering instead of the fourth movie. And that's because that week we're doing a Black queer movie in celebration of Juneteenth, which is also happening that weekend, is the day we're uploading that movie. But before then, we have Eduardo's choice and River's choice, and then that movie, and then my choice. So, Eduardo, what are we starting out with this month?
Yeah, we're starting off with a cult classic. I love this movie. I think the first time I watched it was either last year or the year before that. And I mean, I think if you are queer, you have to watch this movie at least once in your life. It's so camp. It has an iconic cast. RuPaul is in this movie, crazily enough. So yeah, not today. This next week we will be covering But I'm a Cheerleader. Yay!
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy.
I know you guys are happy about it. I like this movie too. This is a fun cast of people because this is just it's a really interesting movie when you look at some of the people that are in it, and it would become some people that were pretty damn big in the future. Specifically, like we're talking about, RuPaul's in this movie, but also Natasha Lyonne's in this movie.
Yeah.
One of my favorite people on the planet, Dante Bosco, is in this movie. I love you, Dante Bosco. I love you so much. Never change. You're king. So yeah, I'm really excited to talk about I'm a Cheerleader. The week after that is a River selection, and River, I'll let you give the hint for the week after to leave the people guessing.
So we will be doing a queer Brazilian film that I actually missed. That I have not seen, and I'm a little ashamed to admit that I have not seen. But that's why I chose it, because I'm like, it's time, and I want to share the experience with you. So we shall see.
And also, finally, to wrap us up here with the little thing, we might, I say might, meaning literally, not actually like the joking way, like might when we are definitely, we may actually have a guest for Pride Month. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. So, but to wrap us up here today, thank you so much for joining us here today. As we talked about bodies to wrap up Female Directors Month. But we have unfortunately ran out of popcorn, drank our entire soda, and nobody ever eats more than one soft pretzel. So we will see you next time, everybody. Take care. Bye.
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 Oh, fuck off and die.